When someone says to you that they're going on an eco-friendly vacation, what do you imagine it would be like? Do you picture a rustic cabin in the middle of nowhere with no amenities? Perhaps an outhouse? Lots of bugs? Perhaps you think of backpacking or hiking, tents. Maybe you envisage getting wet, beans for dinner again. And yes, those could be eco-friendly vacations, but in fact, you can have a green holiday irrespective of your budget or your location or the level of luxury that you want. And that's because ecotourism is practiced by some of the most luxurious hotels and resorts around the world, as well as in rustic spots and everything in between. You can even have high adrenaline thrills on ecotours. Not only are these holidays fun and relaxing, but they make you feel good about your trip afterwards too. And that's because ecotourism lets you directly benefit the people and places that you visit by supporting conservation and protecting cultural heritage, while you're not destroying the local environment. But you've got to do it right. Just because a resort or hotel says it's eco-friendly, it doesn't necessarily mean that it truly is. So, here's how to make your next trip green and eco-friendly. Just like with any enjoyable holiday, you need to do a little bit of planning before you go. First option is to think, is there a local place that I can visit? Because the greenest trips are closer to home. So look around your area. There are probably loads of wonderful things to do that everyone else loves and you haven't done because they're nearby. For example, when I was growing up in Ireland, we lived 5 minutes away from Blarney Castle. Now, people came from all over the world to kiss the Blarney Stone to get the gift of the gab, but my parents never ever visited the castle. If you're travelling further afield, how are you going to get there? Don't automatically assume that you need to fly. There may be alternatives. For example, I adore train travel because the journey becomes part of the holiday. You get to see the scenery and it's a lot less cramped. This photo is of a British train. It's set up for afternoon tea, so some trains can be really comfortable. And, it's often just as quick to travel by train when you factor in the waiting times and the security checks at airports now. Or perhaps a ferry boat or a cruise ship would work. Again, there's much more space to move around. You get fresh air. Maybe even a luxury coach like the one shown here. There are all alternatives to air travel. They're much greener than flying because air travel is just about the worst form of transport from an environmental point of view. So always look at alternatives before you travel. Next, let's look at your accommodation. You're going to find hotels, lodges, hostels, campsites, caravan parks, resorts on every continent which follow eco-friendly practices. Now, what you want to do when you're looking at them is pay particular attention to things like their water use, their waste management, whether they conserve energy, how do they heat and cool their accommodation, what sort of cleaning products do they use, are they non-toxic. Think also about local sustainable food and also how they interact with their local communities. Because you see, you can still be eco-friendly even if you want luxury accommodation. And by choosing wisely, you can have a great holiday without doing damage. It just comes down to understanding your responsibility towards the environment. I use the internet to search for eco-friendly accommodation, and then once I've narrowed it down to a couple of options, I always like to research the properties more thoroughly before making a booking. Sometimes, not often, just sometimes, I found that the accommodation's mission statement or a web page talking about their sustainability journey, sometimes they're full of great ideas, but they're not always put into practice on a daily basis. So always research, do your research thoroughly, and network with others who travel green and get their personal recommendations too. Next, a couple of quick tips for when you're ready to leave. And these will help you to reduce your impact even further. First and most importantly, pack lightly. It's miles easier on you when you travel light. Having heavy bags is such a pain, and it's also a lot more eco-friendly. It uses a lot more fuel to carry more weight, so your car or however you're traveling will use more fuel the more you transport, and it's the same with planes. In fact, did you know that it's estimated that passengers carrying an extra 10 pounds or 5 kilos per person add up to an extra 350 million gallons of jet fuel each year? That's extra just by people carrying more weight, heavier bags. Pack a reusable water bottle. It'll help to avoid or at least reduce the need for you to buy bottled water, because bottled water is horribly expensive and it's lousy for the environment, and it'll help reduce your waste as well. At home, before you leave, turn your water heater off or down low. Adjust your heating or air conditioning to minimum. Turn the water off from outside the house to prevent possible flooding if there's a leak while you're away, and turn off all electrical and electronic devices, unplug them, or use a smart strip so that they don't draw power while on standby while you're away. While you're away on holiday, of course you're going to want to continue all your normal green living practices, but there will be a few changes due to your location. So wherever you're staying, when you leave your hotel room, turn off the climate control, the lights, the TV, the radio. Close the curtains or drapes to keep the heat out or keep the heat in, depending on where you're staying. Participate in hotel linen programs. Let the hotel know that it's not necessary to change your sheets and towels every single day. If you use a nightlight, like I do, then bring a tiny little LED nightlight. They can be solar powered, and they'll use a lot less energy than leaving a bathroom light on, for example, and possibly the fan and all the rest of it. When you're finished with them, be sure to turn off exercise equipment in the gym, the sauna, whirlpool or jacuzzi, tennis court lights, all that sort of thing. Switch them off when you're finished. If the hotel provides newspapers, then pass yours on to someone else, or leave it in the lobby for another reader, and ask the hotel to make sure that it's recycled. Some hotels have an electronic system for your bill via the TV, so use it to view your invoice and approve it, and you'll reduce paper and ink and paperwork. And of course you're going to recycle, you're going to put them in the appropriate bins, and also let hotel management know that you want them to conserve and that you want to participate. Transport. How will you get from the airport or the port to your hotel or lodge? Well, a shuttle bus or public transportation is much more eco-friendly than a private transfer, and you get to meet others too. Where possible, walk or bike to shopping and local attractions, or rent a scooter. They're fun and they're much more green than a car, and if you need to rent a car, then choose a small, efficient vehicle. For sightseeing, well, when you're exploring the area, choose restaurants that serve organic or locally grown food and produce, and of course you're going to respect the local heritage and culture. When you're buying souvenirs, buy local products and crafts, because that'll bolster local incomes. And always try to sponsor local support groups and perhaps even volunteer for community service so that the local people benefit from your travel. But don't carry plastic items or use them, and reduce your paper consumption, and obviously conserve water, don't waste it. Don't collect seashells or stones or parts of the beach soil, plants. In other words, take only photos, leave only footprints. And of course, never buy animal products such as ivory, because you're supporting poaching, and naturally you're not going to litter. You see, responsible travel is all about minimizing the negative impacts of travel on our environment and increasing the positive impact. An eco-friendly vacation is the perfect way to enjoy different places all over the world while still respecting and preserving the environment for our future generations. You can make a difference with a green holiday, so enjoy it.